Tonight we're going to do something I like to call breaking it down fine. So the gentleman behind me there is Mr. Azruddin Mohamed. Through his business enterprises, Mohammed's enterprise, him and his father's family business, they were accused of gold smuggling, money laundering, and tax evasion. Consequent to that, the US government placed sanctions on his business, and my understanding is that they're forbidden from doing business with any US companies. The government have now declared that Mohamed is not allowed to do business in Guyana even. His contracts have been revoked, his quarry license, his mining land licenses not being renewed, all of these things. He's become persona non grata and it seems enemy of the state, right? So people are legitimately asking, the government are publishing things saying he owes millions of dollars in taxes for vehicles. But weren't the same people in the government being transported in Mohamed's vehicles during the 2020 election? When he bought these vehicles and then took them out on the street, it's not like he was hiding them. They were by Gifland Mall, they were all around the place. People were taking pictures with them. Some of the same members of government were taking pictures with these vehicles that they loved so much. Didn't they know this man owed all this tax on the vehicles, right? They're also pretending as if Mohamed was the only person sanctioned. May Thomas, or the permanent secretary, that was involved in the case, was also sanctioned by the government. So on one hand, they're saying they don't do business with sanctioned individuals, but on the other hand, they made that person like an executive member of the party. She's still collecting a salary from the government. So you're doing business with sanctioned people and you're not doing business with sanctioned people. But this story goes much deeper than that. You see, the thing that made Azruddin Mohamed the enemy of the state is what he's actually doing in this picture behind me, which is not based on how it appears. Checking my head for head louse. You find anything? No, it's actually, let me move my picture across. It's actually donating money and items to people in need. Going to communities in need, chatting with people on the ground, and using some of the money, the same tax that he evaded or whatever, using some of that money to help people, to build houses for them, to buy things for them, get them on their feet, help them start businesses. And he's helped dozens and dozens and dozens of people. And this is arguably what has made him the enemy of the state. Now, okay, that's one thing. It's another thing to call him out for crimes that all of a sudden the government are aware of, as if there's not the faint whiff of hypocrisy in there. I mean, did nobody bother to go and read the actual accusations that were published? Let me just read a bit of it for you, right? To conceal and tell me how many times you hear the word government officials in this passage. To conceal their illegal activity and operate with impunity, Azruddin and Mohamed's enterprise have engaged in extensive bribery schemes involving government officials in Guyana, including providing direct and recurring bribery payments to Guyanese government officials to ensure favorable treatment in criminal or civil matters that would otherwise suggest their involvement in criminal activity. In return, corrupt officials receive cash and gifts for incidents that are overlooked. Additionally, Mohamed's enterprise has paid bribes to corrupt Guyanese government officials to facilitate the award of government contracts. But the government are saying it's just Mohamed's. But the point is, they've gone beyond that. It's not good enough to attack the man in the press. My problem is the hypocrisy. I am not here as an apologist for Azruddin Mohamed. I believe that if he did any crimes, and I've made this clear in many posts, if he did any crimes, he could be placed before the court, he should have a fair trial, and he should face whatever penalties are due. I believe also that there are many businessmen and women in this country that dodge their taxes, okay? Things should be applied fairly and across the board. Singling somebody out is evidence of political victimization. Singling and targeting this one person because they managed to step out of line and decided they would end this culture of friends and family and favorites and start distributing some of this wealth to the people. That made this person an enemy after the very same government were in bed with the whole family, taking their money and using their vehicles to travel to State House during the election period and travel around the place, and Mohamed's security. When this relationship started to turn sour is when we started to see the darkest side of the PPP government emerge. So in this clip above me here is where Bara Jagdeo, he would have been saying that, Azruddin's father, maybe he used to play marbles with Chedi Jagan at some point, neglecting to mention the fact they're taking a lot of money from these people, the same people that they didn't know were involved in any illegal activity, though all of the sanctions would detail that they are the people that were involved in the illegal activity with the Mohammeds. Okay, so it took that format where they start insulting him publicly, and then the supporters of the government, their media operatives, because the government have a propaganda arm so they can keep their hands clean and do their dirty work. They send agents out who they empower with state contracts worth billions of dollars, such as Critic here, who is interviewing a woman that claimed Azruddin Mohamed sexually assaulted her. Now, this woman seems to have totally disappeared after coming online to make these very serious accusations. The police still have not received a report from her. They don't know where she is. A post emerged saying that she is leaving the country. Nobody has been held to account, but it gets even worse than that, because it's not just one channel they've chosen to attack this person through. This is where it gets bad. Now, you would have recalled if you saw the video that Azruddin's father posted, in which he made his concerns about his son perhaps being the victim of an assassination attempt. He made those concerns known to the public, and many people were quick to dismiss them. Let me build a case for you as to why Azruddin's father is concerned, given his popularity and the fact that so many people are calling for him to run for elections. This is Amir Ahmad. Here he is with his wife on the far right and the first lady in the middle, because he's the managing director of Sheriff Group of Companies, which includes Sheriff Hospital, the medical center, the Sheriff Security Services. I know there's a Sheriff Meat Center. He's now one of the lead importers of chicken in the country. There's, I don't know, they're going to be Sheriff Funeral Parlor next. There's a mall coming and hotel. Many projects within the past 5 years, millions of US dollars appeared from nowhere and in the hands of this young man. But there have been swirling questions about money laundering, given that on the far right of this picture here, his uncle, Ed Ahmad, bought the land from the government. That was its own scandal, on which Sheriff Medical Center currently resides in Lenora. Sheriff Medical was supposedly owned by his other brother here, Sharif, and then the general manager of the whole Sheriff Group of Companies is the nephew of Ed and the son of Sharif in the middle down here. Now, I'll tell you something else you didn't know. Guyana Daily News, which is a PPP propaganda page and a page that promotes hate speech on Facebook, was registered by Father Sharif Ahmad in 2015, struck from the register in around 2019, which begs the question how they're able to afford all of the, if they're paying taxes on all of the ad revenue they're generating on that page. Now, Amir Ahmad is who is controlling Guyana Daily News, and I want to get that out of the way first before we dive into this scandal. Before I get to the screenshots where he's referring to Azruddin Mohamed's disabled daughter as retarded and trying to get an editor to put "my dad is a rapist" on her shirt, before I get to that and how he's trying to set Azruddin up for murder and sexual assault, I need to build you a profile of this man. He has decidedly dug in deep with the government and has benefited from taxpayers' money to the tune of billions of dollars to guard state assets. Though Sheriff tried to distance himself from Uncle Ed, who is a convicted mortgage fraudster in the US, convicted for over $50 million in mortgage fraud, there are many posts on the internet that give evidence to the contrary. So he uses his Guyana Daily News platform to call out other people for being criminals, while a serial criminal is in business with him. Amir uses his platform to defame critics of the government. and to paint them as criminals when he himself is a criminal?
Well, this is a lot of information. A lot needs to be said. A lot of things are covered. I really don't have much to say right now, but I want you to speak. I want you to comment. And I also want you to subscribe. What do you think about this?